Chief of the Colorado National Guard, Major General Mike Lowe, 3rd Adjutant General of Colorado, and the citizen soldiers and citizen airmen of the Colorado National Guard, welcome to today's ceremony as we honor Colonel Scott M. Sherman on the occasion of his promotion to the rank of Brigadier General. My name is Chief Warrant Officer 3 Ryan Townsend, and it is my distinct honor to serve as the Master of Ceremonies today. The official party for today's ceremony is Major General Mike Lowe, the 43rd Adjutant General of Colorado, Colonel Scott Sherman, Director of Joint Staff, Joint Force Headquarters, Colorado, and Command Sergeant Major Patrick Yuschuk, Senior Enlisted Leader to the Director of Joint Staff. Presiding official for today's ceremony is Major General Lowe. Ladies and gentlemen, please stand for the singing of our national anthem by Miss Kathy Gadd, followed by the invocation given by Chaplain Paul Franz, State Chaplain, Colorado National Guard.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does the star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Good afternoon. As we gather today to celebrate General Sherman's well-deserved promotion, I'm reminded of the words of the prophet Isaiah, that those who hope in the Lord will renew their strength. They will soar on wings like eagles. They will run and not go weary. They will walk and not become faint. I invite you to join me in prayer. Heavenly Father, as we begin this time-honored ceremony, I marvel at the fact that you care so much about each of us and take joy in the things that bring joy to us. Thank you for your faithfulness, steadfast presence, and promise to go before us if we would but trust in you. Today, as we recognize General Sherman, I thank you for his many years of honorable service, for his leadership, dedication, and selflessness, and for the positive impact he has had on so many. I ask that your hand of blessing be upon him as he faces many leadership challenges in the rank of Brigadier General, a rank that few achieve, but for which he is so well suited. Go before him, Lord, grant him wisdom and discernment to balance his many responsibilities, both within and outside the Guard, and for continued direction as you light the path ahead. And for his family, Lord, thank you for Valerie, Trevor, and Natalie, for their love and support, as well as his mother, Marilyn, and brother and sister and their families who are here with us today. Give them a strong family bond, whether at home or away, and help them to see you at every turn. Now, as we reflect on faithful service, I pray also for our brothers and sisters currently in harm's way, both here and abroad. Comfort and protect them, as well as their family and loved ones, Lord. Guide and bless our time together. May it encourage General Sherman and his family, honor you, and inspire us all. And keep us ever mindful of the ultimate hope we have in you, the living God, Lord of the armies, in whose name I pray. Amen.
Thank you, Ms. Gadd and Chaplain Franz. Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated. At this time, we would like to welcome Colonel Sherman's family, his wife Valerie and their son Trevor and daughter Natalie, his mother, Mrs. Marilyn Sherman, his sister, Mrs. Jennifer Trimble and her family, and his brother, Mr. Greg Sherman and his family. Thank you all for joining us today. Colonel Scott M. Sherman serves as the Director of Joint Staff, Joint Force Headquarters, Colorado. In this role, Colonel Sherman directly supervises the Joint Staff and is the commander of the Standing Joint Task Force Centennial, responsible for leading the Colorado National Guard's response to domestic events, as directed by the governor. Additionally, he directs the Colorado National Guard's specified partnerships, including those with the Hashemite Kingdom of Jordan, the Republic of Slovenia, and the State of Israel. Colonel Sherman is a 1992 graduate of the United States Military Academy and commissioned as a field artillery officer. He served on active duty in numerous operational and staff assignments, primarily field artillery and operations. Since joining the Colorado Army National Guard in September 2000, Colonel Sherman deployed several times, including as the effects coordinator for the 25th Infantry Division in Tikrit, Iraq. He commanded the Field Artillery Battery, battalion, and brigade level, and served as the Chief of Joint Staff for the Colorado National Guard, where he was responsible for implementing programs for the National Guard support to Homeland Security, defense support to civil authorities, and domestic emergency response operations. Simultaneously, Colonel Sherman served as the Adjutant General of Colorado's Chief of Staff and supervised the Adjutant General of Colorado's personal staff, including the Staff Judge Advocate, Inspector General, Human Resources Office, Public Affairs, Commander's Action Group, Chaplains, Executive Officer, and Administrative Assistant. Colonel Sherman most recently served as the full-time Chief of Staff, Colorado Army National Guard. In this capacity, Colonel Sherman served as the principal advisor to the commander of the Colorado Army National Guard and responsible for the management of the Colorado Army National Guard staff. This included planning and directing all administrative, financial, facility, and operational activities for the Colorado Army National Guard, an organization with over 3,900 total soldiers, of which 800 are full-time soldiers, civilians, and spread across 26 facilities in Colorado with an annual budget of over $120 million. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my distinct honor to introduce to you today's host and presiding official, the 43rd Adjutant General of Colorado, Major General Mike Lowe.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for joining us here today. It is great to see so many covered faces. So the face mask is out there. And normally on a promotion ceremony, I could see bunches of bright smiling faces. So I'm not really sure how I'm going to do up here when I'm looking at all those masks, but we'll get through it. Okay. Also, for those folks joining us via the internet, thanks for being here today. This is broadcast worldwide, as you know. And so it's great to have you in the Joint Force Headquarters of the Colorado National Guard. It's certainly a great day for Colorado, but more importantly, a great day for Scott Sherman and the Sherman family. It is also the 76th anniversary of D-Day, where 156,000 troops stormed the beaches at Normandy. 156,000 in order to overthrow Nazi Germany and the Third Reich. The Colorado Guard was on duty then, just like it's on duty today. So I'm going to start with my first thanks. My first thanks is to the members of the Colorado National Guard and to the members of all of the National Guard for your tireless work defending freedom. Some quick facts as we sit here today. Over 1 in 4 National Guard members, or just over 120,000, are activated and on duty in worldwide operations, tirelessly defending freedom. Over 80,000 are currently fighting COVID and defending lives and protecting property in the homeland, while almost 30,000 are engaged in overseas combat operations and other combatant commander support operations. And then an additional 6,000 to include members of both the Colorado Army National Guard and Colorado Air National Guard are conducting federal homeland defense operations. Your National Guard is busy today, folks. And all of you as leaders in this audience need to thank your people as you go back out there, since we're still conducting drill weekends. And of course, there's no one that feels that anymore than Valerie Sherman. Because Valerie, Trevor, and Natalie, you have been there throughout Scott's entire journey. Matter of fact, Valerie's been there for over 37 years. They've known each other. Sorry, don't keep shaking your head, but it has been. That's what Scott said, 37 years. And you've been with him every step of the way. And it's been quite a journey. Please indulge me a few minutes. I know you heard his bio, but let me do some fillers in there as we talk about the journey of Valerie and Scott and the difference they've made for our national defense. You see, Scott is a fourth-generation Colorado native. He wanted to serve in the military and see the world. He attended this school, the U.S. Military Academy at West Point. Now, being an Air Force Academy graduate, it's not the best military academy, but it's not too bad, and it's far, far superior to that boat school along the Severn River. He was nominated by then Senator Hank Brown and graduated from West Point in 1992. Less than a month after graduation, on June 26, he married Valerie. And those two went on a tour of a lifetime. So, upon graduation with his sweetheart, packed her up and went down to their first assignment away, Fort Sill, Oklahoma, where he attended the Field Artillery Basic Officer course. But what you don't know is he did so well, and they got their first choice of assignment. The lovely place called Vicenza, Italy, place very close to Venice. True garden spot. And it was here where Lieutenant Sherman served in Italy from 1992 to 1996 in both the 325th and 319th Airborne regiments. And he was jump master qualified. Soldiers trusted him at a very young age. This is also the time frame, think about Europe. Post-Cold War, the wall fell in 89, where it was a great change in Europe. Slovenia was gaining independence. A lot of the former Soviet bloc nations were joining NATO. It was a heck of a time. But it was also in that tour of Vicenza where Valerie became pregnant. Amore. And upon his PCS move back to Fort Riley, Kansas, they took a little detour back to Colorado in order to have Trevor born in the same hospital that his mom Marilyn was born at and that Scott was born at. A true Colorado native and the fifth generation of Colorado natives in the Sherman family. So after the birth of their child, packed up again, Scott, Valerie, and Trevor head down back to Fort Sill for the Advanced Officers Course, Field Artillery, and then on to Fort Riley in the 1st Infantry Division, where Scott served in the 3rd Brigade. It was here that he commanded Charlie Battery, and also here where Natalie was born. So while they were close to Colorado and Kansas, it still wasn't Colorado. And after 8 years of serving on active duty, they decided to leave active duty. Not an easy choice to make, as some of us, most of us in this room, have actually had to make that in the past. And they moved back to Colorado. But he wasn't over with service. He continued serving in the Colorado National Guard at the Longmont Armory, and also transitioned to an M-Day, where, along with Kevin Kick, got a job up in Golden, Colorado, at this place called Coors Tech, where they built packaging for the Coors Brewing Company together. Now, I imagine being up in Golden, Colorado on a Friday afternoon, and you and Kevin going over to do the short tour through the brewery. Got a little old after a while, but I'm sure you all survived. And then, now we're talking about 2001, and 9/11 occurs. And the nation calls upon Scott and his family once again, and he mobilizes for Operation Noble Eagle. and he comes in service of both state and nation and is mobilized to defend the United States. Upon his demob in 2004, Scott decided not to return back to civilian life in Corps Tech, but decided to take a position as a full-time member of the Colorado Army National Guard, where he has served at armories around the state, including Longmont, Boulder, probably one of the last to be there, Buckley, and of course, right here in Centennial, Colorado, at Joint Force Headquarters. It was also during this time frame that war was raging in Iraq. Fallujah in 2005. And at that time, he was getting ready and prepared to deploy. Now, his time served in the Colorado Guard and also on active duty, he gained valuable experiences. He has served as the S1 personnel, S2 intelligence, S3 operations, executive officer, and in information operations. All of these skills would be utilized as Scott deployed with the 25th Infantry Division to Tikrit, Iraq for 15 months in 2006-2007, right during the Iraqi surge. He served as the effects coordinator for the division, where he was relied upon to bring all the strengths of the joint and coalition operations, air, land, cyber, space, to the battlefield, as many lives depended on his performance, and Scott, once again, delivered excellence. Upon his return to Colorado, remember there's no rest for the weary, so where do we send him? XO to the brigade, the 196, for 3 long years, managing all the responsibility as a full-time member at the brigade headquarters out at Buckley. His hard work results in battalion command at the 3rd of the 157th Field Artillery, while simultaneously running the G3 training branch and knowing what staff officers do. And in the next 2 years, he was responsible for getting numerous units ready for deployment and supporting the training and education of our state partners, the Hashemite Kingdom of Jordan and the Republic of Slovenia. Now, in 2012, he becomes the Deputy G3 and Plans Officer, just as crisis hits Colorado. Because in 2013, we had a 500-year flood in Lyons. We had numerous wildfires. The Colorado Guard was called upon to duty, and Scott was right at the front of that. He used his skills, training, and experience to once again save lives and protect property. 2005, 5 years ago, he became the Director of Operations for the Joint Staff, then Chief of the Joint Staff, while simultaneously commanding the 169th Field Artillery Brigade. And as a brigade commander, they had just redeployed from Iraq. Bob Davis had brought them back. They had come back. And so what was Scott in charge of? The reconstitution, the rebuilding, and the readiness of the 169th, just after they came off of one of the most successful deployments in National Guard history. So, thanks for getting the forces back ready again, Scott. And just in the last 3 years, he has served, as you heard, Chief of the Joint Staff, also the Chief of Staff and Chief Administration Officer for the Colorado Army National Guard. And with the promotion in the National Guard Bureau assignment of Major General Greg White, the Colorado National Guard is extremely lucky to have Scott Sherman as the new Director of Joint Staff. Now, your family's been with you along the way. And that's the entire front row as I stand here in front of you today. Valerie, Trevor, Marilyn, Natalie, thank you. And to the whole Sherman family, I know it's not been easy. Scott has missed many anniversaries, birthdays, family events. Through it all, your steadfast loyalty, support to both he, the family, our National Guard, has made a huge difference. We don't do it without you. And so from all of us, thank you for what you do for our national defense. Before all this started, Scott and I and a host of individuals were over in Slovenia doing a senior leader exchange and training exercise in the Republic of Slovenia, with the Chief of Defense, the Minister of Defense, the President of Slovenia, and COVID-19 broke out. And in the last 3 months, he has commanded the Joint Task Force Centennial. He's been approved by the Secretary of Defense for dual status command. He's led the Colorado National Guard response to the whole government efforts to defeat COVID-19, and more recently, responding to civil unrest. Again, saving lives and protecting all people. I know he hasn't had a day off. Thank you. Scott brings a wealth of experience. He brings the experience of active duty, an M-Day soldier, a commander, experiences with combat, mobilizations both abroad and here at home. He brings local and international partnership experiences, and both staff and, of course, numerous command experiences. And he will continue to help Colorado and the Colorado National Guard be at the forefront of national defense well into the future. Scott, I think it's now time we promote you to that well-earned rank. Thank you.
Thank you, General Lowe. Ladies and gentlemen, please rise. Military members, attention to orders. The President of the United States, acting upon the recommendation of the Secretary of the Army, has placed special trust and confidence in the patriotism, integrity, and abilities of Colonel Scott M. Sherman. In view of these special qualities and his demonstrated potential to serve in the higher grade, Colonel Sherman is promoted to the permanent grade of Brigadier General, United States Army, by order of the Secretaries of the Army and Air Force, signed Joseph L. Lengyel, General, United States Air Force, Chief, National Guard Bureau. Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated. Will Valerie, Trevor, Natalie, and Mrs. Marilyn Sherman please come forward? But don't sneeze. Major General Lowe will now administer the oath of office to Brigadier General Sherman. Ladies and gentlemen, please stand. Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated. Just making sure I didn't lose count. Throughout the history of warfare, a general officer's personal colors symbolize leadership on the battlefield. The Army authorizes individual flags to those who warrant them by virtue of their office. A general officer flag is issued upon promotion to every Army general officer since they were first authorized by General Order Number 4, dated 22 August 1903. The flag is on a scarlet background and displays white stars corresponding to the rank of the general officer. This flag, signifying the presence of a brigadier general, will be present at all official military functions attended by Brigadier General Sherman and will be visibly displayed in his office. Command Sergeant Major Patrick Yuschuk, Senior Enlisted Leader, to the Director of the Joint Staff, Joint Force Headquarters, Colorado, and Master Sergeant Raina Pennington will now bring forward and unfurl the Brigadier General Sherman's new personal colors. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my distinct honor and privilege to introduce to you Brigadier General Scott M. Sherman.
Thanks, Ryan. Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, friends, especially family, thanks for taking time out of your day, either in person or in these times virtually, to be a part of my promotion ceremony. First, I want to present some gifts to the women in our family. Captain Hapner is now presenting flowers to my wife, Valerie, to my mother, Marilyn, to my daughter, Natalie, to my sister, Jennifer, to my sister-in-law, Caroline, and then a great toy to our niece, Taya. All right. Hey, sir, Major General Lowe, thanks for presiding in today's ceremony and having the trust and confidence to select me as the Director of Joint Staff. That means a lot, sir. Congratulations on your selection as the next Director of the Air National Guard and your upcoming promotion. The Kong will definitely miss you and Diane. The good thing is that we will get opportunities to see you both in D.C., and that's a great thing. We'll have friends there. That's awesome. Today is not just a special day for my family, but it also marks an important date in history, as General Lowe mentioned. A date where the United States was no longer a sleeping giant. A date where our nation became the leader of the free world. 76 years ago, our nation led the Allied invasion of Normandy in Operation Overlord. This is a day that we remember the 10,000 casualties and the 4,400 service members that were killed during the initial operation. It's also a time that we think about the liberation of occupied France, and we celebrate that it laid the foundation for the Allied victory in Nazi Germany. With the challenges that our nation is currently facing, it has been a crazy time for the Colorado National Guard, and it has certainly been a blur for me and the entire Joint Staff. I can hardly believe that it's 6 June. I still remember 3 February, Super Bowl Sunday, when Matt Morton and Joe Stryker got a call and we had to move out quickly to go to Fort Carson to discuss the use of the RTI to quarantine U.S. citizens being evacuated from China. I will probably never forget 12 March, and there's a lot of people in this room that probably will not forget about 12 March, Diane and Valerie among them. 2:30 in the morning, we're all asleep in a hotel in Ljubljana, Slovenia. And when all our phones blew up at 2:30 in the morning, everybody, family, friends, everybody at Joint Force Headquarters telling us that the president was shutting down the border and international flights and we needed to get home ASAP. That was an interesting breakfast. It was also very interesting when the president of Slovenia looked at General Lowe and said, Mike, you guys need to get out of here because I'm shutting the borders in 48 hours. You got to get out of here. You're stuck. So that was a lot of hours on the phone with DTS and with Carlson Wagelet getting all of our stuff done. That's something I'll probably never forget. It's just kind of like 9/11. It's something that hits you in your life. You're like, wow, I never saw this coming. As the commander of Joint Task Force Centennial, I can't thank enough the 460 Colorado National Guard soldiers and airmen who provided our state with JRSOI, COVID testing, homeless shelter support, emergency operations support, and now it started as 100, now 84 NGRF soldiers who have really helped the Denver Police Department downtown. Throughout the nation, it is a blessing that our National Guard exists. And the 120,000, the most in our history, mobilized National Guard members are doing an extraordinary job supporting our nation, both here and abroad. To my friends, fellow service members, retired service members, West Point classmates, family, and everyone else watching the ceremony on Facebook Live and YouTube, thanks for everything you have provided me and our family. I consider myself an extremely lucky field artillery officer that accidentally found the Colorado National Guard in 2000 after coming off active duty. I've loved every minute of it. To everyone here in the room participating virtually, thank you for the friendship, the mentorship, the counsel, the honest feedback, and your dedication to our nation state, the Department of Military and Veterans Affairs, and the Colorado National Guard. Finally, to my family, Valerie, thanks for 28 incredible years. It's been a fantastic adventure, and I'm just blessed that it continues as a general officer. Trevor and Natalie, thanks for being great kids. Thanks for being you and making us proud. Mom, thanks for instilling the values in all 3 of us kids. I know you're extremely proud. Jennifer, Greg, Eric, Caroline, Taya, thanks for being here today. So I really want to say, hey, Kathy Gadd, where are you, Kathy? Kathy, who's executive assistant at Department of Military and Veterans Affairs. She's the lady that really is the gatekeeper into our office. Great voice. Thanks for singing the national anthem today. Always a blessing. Thanks to both chaplains. We got Dave, Red Thunder, Nagel, and Chaplain Colonel Paul Franz. Thank you, gentlemen. That's awesome, as always. Thanks to Captain Eric Kapner for being the prophet for today's ceremony. Appreciate that, Eric, wherever you are. There you are. And then thanks to Ryan Townsend for being the MC. And then last, you don't do any ceremony in this headquarters in the Colorado National Guard. We're not having Janelle Darnell, Miss Darnell involved, the protocol officer. She does a great job. Major Miro Missler and Captain Isis Rojas Scott, they did a great time. They did a great, we originally had this ceremony planned at the Broncos facility. COVID kind of changed all that. but thanks for doing everything that you do. Again, thanks to everyone for attending or watching today's ceremony. It's a real honor and privilege to continue to serve the Colorado National Guard and the U.S. Army as a general officer. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Brigadier General Sherman. Ladies and gentlemen, please remain standing for the benediction given by Chaplain David Nagel, full-time support chaplain, Colorado National Guard.
I invite you to join me as we close this special ceremony with the blessing. Lord, on this special day of celebration, may your hand of providence go before Brigadier General Sherman and his family, Valerie, Trevor, Natalie. We pause to marvel at your unique plan for each of our lives. Father, we recognize that very few in our ranks, around 1% of all U.S. Army officers, will rise to this level of leadership. The responsibility that comes with this type of role is heavy. And as a chaplain, Father, I pray you provide the wisdom, the strength, and the grace needed for Brigadier General Sherman to continue leading within our organization well. May all of us use this short and precious life and the blessings we've been given to impact those who come into our circle of influence. Because of our utter dependence upon you, we close this ceremony reminded of the truth found in the great state motto of Colorado, Nil sine numine, nothing without providence. Amen.
Thank you, Chaplain Nagel. On behalf of Governor Jared Polis, Major General Mike Lowe, the citizen soldiers and citizen airmen of the Colorado National Guard, and Brigadier General Sherman and his family, thank you for joining us for today's ceremony. Have a great Colorado Day.